Have you ever gazed at a broken vase or an aged stone and noticed an unexplainable kind of beauty? What if I told you there's an entire belief system centered on valuing the flawed, the temporary, and the unfinished? At the core of this philosophy lies a distinctly Japanese worldview called Wabi-Sabi. And today, we're going to dive into how this timeless wisdom can completely transform the way you see the world and your own life. Wabi-Sabi goes beyond visual appeal. It's a lifestyle. It welcomes and honors the natural imperfections of life and the unfolding path we all travel. Its roots are deeply grounded in the calm and contemplative teachings of Zen Buddhism, a tradition that finds grace in the fleeting nature of existence. This way of thinking reveals that simplicity holds its own charm, that there's richness in humility, and meaning in the marks time leaves behind. Why should this mean something to you? Picture a reality where your mistakes, your worries, and your imperfections aren't just tolerated, they're embraced as evidence of real, meaningful living. They become emblems of a life truly experienced. That's the gift of this philosophy. It presents a vision in which chasing perfection isn't just unnecessary. It actually takes you further away from what matters. In striving to be flawless, whether in our careers or our carefully curated online personas, we often overlook the very things that give our lives depth and color. By bringing this outlook into your daily routine, you can discover more joy not by acquiring more, but by valuing what's already present. Wabi-Sabi can turn the ordinary into something worth cherishing. It teaches us to notice the story behind a cracked teacup or a sun-worn photograph, to see them not as damaged, but as meaningful reminders of time and memory. In this journey today, we'll look at not just where this uplifting philosophy came from, but also how you can actively apply its principles to your life. By the time you reach the end of this video, you'll begin to understand how accepting imperfection can enrich your life in ways you never expected. We'll explore how this philosophy stands in contrast to the non-stop drive for flawlessness in today's culture, and instead offers a calm, reassuring view that honors the broken edges in both objects and in ourselves. You might be asking, how can simply admiring a worn piece of wood or a faded object have such a profound impact? That's where the quiet strength of this idea comes in. It gently redirects your attention from fixating on what something should be to appreciating what it is. This change in mindset can ease anxiety and bring more emotional clarity into your life. Wabi-Sabi is also closely connected to the traditional Japanese tea ceremony. This ritual beautifully reflects the values of the philosophy through its attention to each action and its embrace of the present. The ceremony becomes an intentional act of mindfulness, where every tool used, every movement made, honors the imperfect, coming together to form an experience filled with harmony and depth. It's a reminder that beauty and contentment often live within the briefest of moments. If you're open to shifting how you look at things and discovering beauty in the places you least expect, keep watching. Because this isn't just about learning an old philosophy. It's about reshaping the way you live by seeing your world through a new lens. And it all begins with understanding and accepting the art of perfect imperfection. Wabi-Sabi reveals that beauty is not a static quality, but a continuous journey, one that mirrors the natural rhythms of life's rise and fall. This perspective originates from a belief system deeply embedded in Zen Buddhism, which values minimalism, sincerity, and the impermanent nature of all existence. The teachings of Zen propose that spiritual awakening is found through quiet reflection, direct insight, and recognizing that nothing in the world lasts forever. This centuries-old Japanese viewpoint also plays a vital role in shaping the traditional tea ritual, a ceremony that perfectly illustrates attentiveness and acceptance. This ritual, called shinoyu, is centered on the ceremonial crafting and serving of matcha, finely ground green tea. It is not merely a beverage preparation, but a refined performance where meaning is found in every gesture and item, each expressing gratitude for the temporary instants that shape our human experience. Within this way of thinking, beauty does not reside in flawlessness or permanence. Instead, it is revealed through the imperfections, the signs of use, and the inevitable transitions brought on by time. This outlook invites us to go beyond mainstream standards of attractiveness, to recognize charm in a dried leaf, grace in the texture of aged wood, and history in a cracked and weathered clay bowl. Every mark, every flaw, is a symbol of time past, a reminder of a journey taken, and evidence of the natural energies that affect all things. Further, this idea was never meant to remain fixed or rigid. It is meant to adapt, evolve, and shift alongside life itself. It shows us that what we perceive as beautiful is always in motion, always transforming, and therefore, our own perceptions must grow and transform with it. By living through this perspective, we learn to value the depth and richness in the current moment, without becoming attached to ideals from the past or visions of the future. This idea that beauty can be discovered right here, right now, is fundamental to the teachings of Zen, which remind us that the present is the only time we truly possess. So both this philosophy and its expression in the Japanese tea tradition offer profound insights into the fleeting nature of life. They gently prompt us to live with more presence, to notice the fragile beauty surrounding us, and to foster inner peace in the face of life's natural imperfections. In recognizing and honoring these elements, we open our eyes to forms of experience and artistry that lie outside the usual definitions, broadening the way we see and strengthening the way we connect to the world around us. This perspective is more than just a rule for judging beauty. It is a doorway to deeper awareness of existence and our role within it. It asks us to reevaluate how we relate to nature, to the things we own, and to one another in a manner that encourages sincerity and equilibrium. Wabi-Sabi enriches not only our appreciation for artistic expression and visual design, but also deepens our reverence for nature itself and its endless ability to teach us about grace, strength, and the certainty of transformation. Perfection may forever remain just out of reach, but by striving toward it, we often discover greatness. This powerful observation leads us to a vital element within the Japanese philosophy we've been exploring: the idea of embracing imperfection. In contrast to many aspects of contemporary Western society, which frequently chases a flawless, often impossible ideal, this Eastern worldview urges us to recognize and honor the beauty that lies within what is imperfect, unfinished, or naturally flawed. This mindset extends well beyond the physical or material world. It influences how we see ourselves and how we engage with those around us. Think for a moment about the overwhelming expectations people often feel to appear perfect in their accomplishments, on social platforms, or in how they look. This constant drive for perfection can create immense emotional strain, causing stress, insecurity, and a lingering sense of inadequacy. The viewpoint we're discussing offers a stark contrast. Here, the distinctive marks and irregularities found in a person or object are often seen as their most meaningful features, each one telling a story, each one adding depth and significance. Such a perspective encourages a kinder and more realistic self-image, one where individuals learn to appreciate their individuality without being crushed by the demand to fit cultural standards. Moreover, the pressure imposed by societal norms significantly affects a person's sense of self and emotional well-being. In a world where perfection is often the expected benchmark, being constantly compared to idealized versions of success or beauty can erode confidence and foster a persistent feeling of falling short. This is precisely where the concept of finding value in imperfection becomes more than just theory. It becomes a practical, healing approach to daily life. It tells us that the signs of use, age, or imperfection aren't flaws to hide, but rather symbols of a life richly experienced. This change in outlook can lighten the emotional load that comes with needing to seem flawless, helping reduce anxiety and emotional distress while promoting inner peace and satisfaction. In a broader sense, this philosophy builds emotional strength by recognizing that all things naturally transform, wear down, or fade. People become better equipped to handle disappointment, loss, and change. This adaptability is essential in a culture that often disguises weakness, highlighting only accomplishments and covering up setbacks. To embrace imperfection, then, is not merely an artistic decision. It is a meaningful, life-affirming attitude, one that fosters openness, personal development, and a more honest connection with reality as it truly is, not how we want it to be. In this way, the philosophy presents a profound counterpoint to the relentless pursuit of flawlessness. By shifting our perception to match the natural rhythms of existence, we begin to build a more authentic and rewarding way of being. It asks us to reconsider what we define as beauty, achievement, and value, to find dignity in the natural and meaning in what remains unfinished. Through this shift, we open the door to a freer, more sincere way of living, one that honors the intrinsic value of each person in every moment, exactly as they are, without the unending demand to refine, perfect, or impress. There exists a fracture in all things, and it is through these fractures that light finds its way in. This poetic idea beautifully conveys the heart of recognizing beauty within imperfection and helps us understand how the philosophy we've been exploring supports this viewpoint. This way of seeing invites us to interpret signs of aging and wear not as faults or damages, but as elements that carry history and enrich character. Let's reflect on how nature itself exemplifies this kind of beauty. In the natural world, perfection is rare. Trees grow twisted and gnarled, rocks take on uneven shapes, and coastlines stretch with jagged unpredictability. Yet, it is exactly these irregularities that render the scenery so striking and memorable. We admire the aging of natural forms, or what time leaves behind. An ancient tree with bent limbs, its rough bark shaped by decades of endurance, tells a story of strength and persistence. Likewise, smooth stones worn down by the current of a river or the rhythm of ocean waves speak to the continuous, unseen power of nature and the slow, steady march of time. Rather than diminishing their beauty, these changes enhance it, offering a rich texture to what we see and feel, something that pristine, untouched surfaces cannot replicate. In the world of visual expression and creative design, this philosophy comes alive through practices such as kintsugi, the traditional Japanese craft of mending shattered ceramics using a lacquer infused with gold or silver. Instead of concealing the damage, kintsugi draws attention to it, transforming the break into a meaningful and aesthetically powerful feature. Every visible line becomes a statement, not of damage, but of restoration, not of weakness, but of endurance and healing. Similarly, the irregularity found in classical Japanese gardens is intentional. These spaces are not arranged to look symmetrical or overly controlled. They are crafted to mirror the untamed beauty of the natural environment, inviting the viewer's gaze to wander freely through contrasts of texture, levels, and unexpected forms. These landscapes are meant to stir contemplation and awareness, representing the world as it truly is, not a curated vision of perfection. Such design principles invite us to value unpredictability and imperfection, helping us cultivate a more open-hearted and flexible way of living. By adopting this way of thinking, we change how we interpret our surroundings and ourselves. We begin to cherish the moment we are living in, flaws and all, rather than endlessly yearning for a flawless tomorrow. This mindset nurtures peace within and a deeper sense of contentment. It reminds us that beauty exists everywhere, in fractures, in worn edges, in signs of time passing, if only we learn how to look with appreciation. When we accept that imperfections can enhance rather than diminish beauty, we also grow more tolerant of our own shortcomings and those of others. This outlook creates the conditions for a more understanding and empathetic world, one where people aren't judged against unattainable ideals, but are instead valued for their individual paths and personal histories. This evolution in thinking extends beyond aesthetics. It promotes a gentler, more welcoming way of engaging with life, one that honors variation and strength in the midst of adversity. The true beauty of life lies in the fact that it doesn't last forever. To welcome change is to celebrate existence. This compelling message encourages us to explore the often ignored value of life's fleeting nature, a fundamental element of the philosophy that honors both imperfection and ephemerality. This way of thinking invites us to reevaluate how we connect with the transient qualities of our lives. Life unfolds through a succession of brief and singular experiences, each one disappearing as quickly as it comes, much like Japan's cherished cherry blossoms, which burst into full bloom each spring only to vanish shortly afterward. These flowers are admired not in spite of, but because of their short lifespan, serving as a vivid reminder of how quickly beauty and moments pass. Within this worldview, impermanence teaches that all aspects of life, our happiness, struggles, obstacles, and achievements, are temporary. This realization can bring comfort, especially in painful moments, by assuring us that suffering will not endure forever. At the same time, it encourages us to fully value joyful experiences, knowing they, too, will eventually come to an end. This double-edged awareness can reshape how we approach everyday living, motivating us to remain grounded in the present, to connect deeply with our surroundings, and to embrace the current moment instead of constantly seeking what's next. Additionally, understanding impermanence equips us to deal more calmly with life's inevitable transformations. Think of the 4 seasons. Each comes with its own hardships and pleasures. Just as the cold of winter makes way for the warmth of spring, hard times in life also give way to periods of ease. By welcoming this ongoing rhythm, we avoid falling into despair when facing adversity, and we learn not to take fortunate times for granted. This balanced outlook nurtures emotional stability, reducing worries about what's to come and lessening regrets about what's behind us. The deeper meaning of accepting life's fleeting nature reaches far. It asks us to reconsider our views on existence itself, even challenging the way we think about death and absence. When we come to terms with the fact that life is not permanent, we can reduce the fear and anxiety that often arise when reflecting on our mortality. Instead of fearing the end, we're guided to make each moment matter, to build meaningful bonds, and to create lasting positive effects in the world. This new mindset not only improves our own well-being, but also inspires us to live in a way that leaves behind compassion, awareness, and intention. Accepting impermanence also reshapes how we process both joy and sadness. Knowing that neither will last forever lessens the pressure to maintain constant happiness and lets us feel sorrow or disappointment without becoming consumed by it. This way of living fosters emotional depth and equilibrium, a life where difficult feelings are no longer feared, but embraced as necessary parts of the human story. Understanding the temporary nature of life, as encouraged by this philosophy, opens the door to a more meaningful and satisfying way of living. It encourages us to welcome change, to be grateful for each moment, and to move with grace through life's unfolding chapters. Through this, we transform how we relate to birth and death, joy and grief, learning to engage with the complexity of being human with greater clarity, strength, and wisdom. Rather than merely enduring life's transformations, this way of seeing asks us to participate in them, to find significance and beauty in the flow of becoming. Within simplicity lies authenticity. This thoughtful idea captures the heart of pursuing a simpler life, a value deeply tied to the aesthetic and spiritual roots of the Japanese philosophy we've been exploring. This approach urges us to remove excess and focus only on what holds real meaning. In a world often driven by consumerism and digital distractions, our senses can become overstimulated and our mental clarity can suffer. That is why the pursuit of simplicity has become more important than ever. Here, simplicity is not just about owning fewer things or creating minimalist designs. It's about cultivating clarity of mind and honoring the core priorities that matter most. This way of thinking teaches that true satisfaction and beauty come from deeply valuing the essential, whether in our surroundings, our routines, or in the natural world. When we strip away the unnecessary, we allow room for the truly meaningful parts of life to thrive. For instance, a handcrafted, modest clay bowl, marked by the hands that shaped it, can be more profound and beautiful than something mass-produced and flawless. This preference for simplicity extends to how we live, favoring genuine expression, intentional living, and a close relationship with the world and people around us. On a practical level, simplifying can bring numerous benefits. Clearing out physical clutter from our homes or workspaces can promote peace of mind and reduce mental stress. Research supports that fewer distractions in our environment lead to better concentration and less emotional fatigue. However, simplifying is not limited to cleaning out material things. It also includes paring down our commitments, freeing up time from overloaded schedules, and managing our online habits with care. This shift helps us direct energy toward the people and practices that offer real meaning, creating space to be more present in our lives. On a deeper emotional level, embracing simplicity allows us to reflect inwardly and understand our own needs and desires more clearly. Freed from the noise of constant novelty and outside influence, a person can develop a stronger sense of who they are and live in greater harmony with their values. This inner clarity strengthens relationships, increases personal satisfaction, and leads to more intentional decision-making. Pursuing simplicity, as taught by this philosophy, is far more than an artistic style. It's a profound and conscious life path. It invites us to question what we truly need, what brings real happiness, and what aligns with a sustainable, honest way of being. Living simply doesn't require giving up comfort or pleasure. Rather, it means choosing with care, making deliberate decisions that reflect what matters most. By living with less distraction, we gain more presence. Through the lens of simplicity, we discover richness not in abundance, but in depth, and with that comes greater appreciation for the beauty woven into the ordinary moments of daily life. Take pleasure in life's small details, because one day you might realize those were the moments that truly mattered. This final quote captures the heart of applying the principles we've explored in our everyday experiences. It's about noticing and treasuring the charm found in simplicity, imperfection, and the passing moments that so often slip by, yet together form the foundation of our lives. Let's look at realistic ways to incorporate this philosophy into daily habits, with an emphasis on mindfulness and accepting life's natural rhythm. A simple yet effective practice is to begin each morning with a quiet moment of awareness. Before jumping into tasks and responsibilities, pause to recognize and value something ordinary around you. It might be the soft glow of daylight coming through your curtains, the feeling of warmth in your cup of tea, or the early morning chirping of birds outside. This brief, intentional focus helps foster a mindset of mindfulness, one that can last through the rest of the day and heighten your sensitivity to your environment. Another meaningful habit to nurture these ideas is journaling. Try keeping a gratitude journal, where you consistently write down things that bring you a sense of appreciation, especially the subtle, imperfect moments often overlooked. You might jot down a kind word from a stranger, the way your coffee spilled into an oddly satisfying pattern, or the peaceful feeling you had while reading a book. This act not only preserves these moments, but gradually shifts your focus toward gratitude and a mindset of attentiveness. You can also embrace this philosophy by simplifying your physical environment. Consider tidying up your home or workspace and holding on only to objects that serve a function or carry emotional value. This doesn't mean living in a bare space. Rather, aim for a setting where everything around you carries a story, evokes a memory, or brings you peace. For instance, instead of discarding an old, well-used chair, you might decide to keep it because it holds years of comfort and experiences, unlike something new and generic. To align with life's natural progression, try letting go of the urge to control everything. This can be practiced in small moments, like staying calm when plans unexpectedly shift, or when a task at work or school doesn't turn out just right. See these detours as part of life's unpredictability, offering surprises and lessons rather than frustrations, encouraging yourself and those around you to notice beauty in the everyday, is another way to bring this philosophy into focus. You could try photography, using your phone or camera to capture ordinary scenes from fresh perspectives. This might mean snapping photos of how light dances across a sidewalk, the quiet joy in a friend's expression, or the presentation of a meal just before it's enjoyed. Photography becomes a tool to train your eye to see and appreciate life's subtle beauty. Lastly, include activities that encourage a slower, more reflective pace. This could be gardening, where you observe the gradual transformation from growth to decay, or cooking, where you engage your senses in the colors, textures, and tastes of each ingredient. Each task presents imperfections and surprises, inviting you to embrace the unexpected rather than resist it. By folding these practices into your daily routine, you begin to move away from the constant chase for flawlessness and start cherishing the beauty within life's irregularities. This not only enriches your everyday moments, but also aligns your behavior with a deeper appreciation of the world as it is, fostering a sense of balance and emotional well-being. Always remember, it is the quiet, easily dismissed details that often create the most meaningful layers of our existence. Choosing to see this can turn even the most ordinary days into a collection of rich, memorable experiences, full of depth, beauty, and quiet joy. In our exploration today of the philosophical realm centered on embracing flaws, we've uncovered a deep and textured worldview, one that discovers remarkable beauty in what is incomplete, aging, or imperfect. We began our journey by presenting a concept that's deeply embedded in Japanese tradition, that there is grace and meaning found in natural irregularities. This philosophy, influenced by Zen Buddhist thought and reflected in cultural rituals like the Japanese tea ceremony, encourages us to value the present moment and to find authenticity in worn surfaces and fleeting experiences. We examined the notion of accepting imperfection, where we contrasted the demanding ideals often promoted by contemporary culture with a mindset that honors and welcomes imperfections as evidence of genuine being. This way of thinking doesn't just reject the exhausting chase for flawlessness. It opens the door to a kinder and more honest way to relate to ourselves and to others. We also reflected on how aging and erosion enhance aesthetic experience through examples like time-worn stones, cracked ceramics, and the organic imbalance found in classic Japanese garden designs. These images serve to remind us that weathered and impermanent things can stir profound emotional resonance and a stronger appreciation for the rhythms of nature and our own lives. Additionally, we explored the deeper philosophical meaning behind transience. By embracing the ever-changing, temporary nature of our experiences, we learn to treasure each moment and lessen the emotional weight of life's daily trials. Acknowledging that both happiness and sorrow are temporary helps us build emotional strength and maintain perspective as we face life's natural fluctuations. We also brought attention to the value of simplicity, a virtue that aligns seamlessly with this philosophy by encouraging a lifestyle that centers around what truly matters. By simplifying our surroundings and daily routines, we can clear mental clutter and direct our energy toward what truly enriches us: our relationships, our creativity, and our personal evolution. To make this way of thinking a living part of everyday life, we shared some practical approaches, such as cultivating mindfulness, decluttering physical spaces, and taking joy in small, everyday details. These habits allow us to engage more deeply with the present, to live more genuinely, and to embrace the unique imperfections that shape our individual paths. It's important to remember that embracing imperfection doesn't mean giving up ambition or abandoning personal growth. Instead, it asks us to reimagine what a meaningful and beautiful life actually looks like. It inspires us to seek harmony and wonder in the natural flow of our experiences, to not only accept flaws, but to understand them as essential aspects of life's innate beauty. So, as you continue your own path, take a moment to observe the imperfections within your world, whether in your relationships, your accomplishments, or your surroundings. See them not as failings, but as meaningful markers, evidence of stories lived and lessons learned. Welcome them not as burdens, but as treasures, because in the rhythm of change, in the beauty of what's incomplete, lies something timeless and real, a reflection of our shared humanity and the subtle brilliance of our imperfect world. Let this perspective be more than just an interesting idea. Let it breathe into your life. Celebrate the cracks. They are where the light finds its way in, revealing the extraordinary beauty within all that is flawed.